Anxiety, when your mind becomes a prison you can't see. Have you ever realized that the most destructive wars are the ones no one sees? The ones that are never declared, never heard, but rage inside you every single day? Imagine living in a world that appears normal on the outside, while inside you, chaos is unfolding. You wake up already exhausted without knowing why. You laugh with others, but there's something heavy in your chest. You try to focus, but your mind pulls you away, showing you all the worst-case scenarios, all the frightening possibilities, everything that could go wrong, even when nothing has gone wrong yet. That's anxiety, the invisible guest that consumes you entirely. Anxiety isn't just tension or a passing worry. It's a constant state of alert. Your body behaves as if you're in danger, even when you're perfectly safe. It's like walking down a quiet street while your brain is screaming, "Watch out! Something bad is coming." You're always bracing yourself, always expecting the worst, replaying every decision, analyzing every move. And deep inside, you never truly believe that everything will be okay. Anxiety drains you because it won't let you breathe. Not just because you're afraid of something, but because you don't even know what that something is. It's a fear without a face, a war inside you with no name. And the worst part is no one else sees it. No one hears the sirens screaming in your head. That's what makes you feel truly alone. You start doubting yourself. Maybe I'm just overreacting. Maybe it's all in my head. So you begin hiding your anxiety, faking strength, making others laugh, playing your role while inside you're slowly falling apart. Not because you're weak, but because you simply don't know how to let it out. You don't know how to tell them that the scariest thing about anxiety isn't the feeling itself, but living with it in silence. And that's where the real journey begins. The silent journey, where you learn to hide your pain behind masks. From here, we slowly move from feeling anxiety to living with it, then to making peace with it, or maybe to surrendering to it. Because you're not just suffering from anxiety, you're suffering from constantly trying to run away from it, from denying it, from convincing yourself that you're fine when you're not. So you start creating psychological tricks to avoid it. You bury yourself in work, obsess over little details, chase perfection in everything, just to feel a hint of safety. But behind all those masks, there's a small child inside you trembling, a child who never felt safe, a child who was never soothed when he cried, who never had his fear embraced. And now you've grown up, but that child is still screaming, screaming silently through anxiety. And here lies the truth we often refuse to face. Anxiety is not a random emotion. It's an old wound, a wound that never healed. So it chose to speak in the language of racing thoughts, restlessness, and fear of the unknown. And when we don't acknowledge this wound, we begin to build our identity around anxiety. We start saying, "I'm just an anxious person. I never feel calm. I've always been like this." And with time, we stop searching for peace and start getting used to the pain, as if it's just part of who we are. But what we don't realize is that living with anxiety doesn't mean accepting it. It means that we've reshaped our whole lives around it. We choose relationships just because they give us a false sense of control. We avoid experiences that might have brought us life just because we fear uncertainty. We live small, tight, suffocating lives, but at least they're familiar, because the unknown is scarier than the pain we already know. And this is where transformation begins. When you stop running from anxiety and start sitting with it. When you choose to look it in the eye not as an enemy but as a signal. Because anxiety at its core isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to wake you up. To say, "Look at me, understand me, stop ignoring me." Anxiety doesn't heal through suppression or distraction or denial. It heals through understanding, deep self-understanding, realizing that this inner voice isn't a disease, but a call to return to yourself. But returning to yourself is not an easy path. It requires courage. The courage to say, "I'm not okay." The courage to stop pretending, to take off all the masks you've been wearing for years, to face yourself as you are with your fear, your hesitation, and all those invisible battles. Anxiety was never a flaw. It was never a weakness. It's a living proof that something inside you is still alive. still trying to be heard. Maybe you just haven't found the right words yet. Maybe you haven't found someone who understands it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve to be heard. When you finally start listening to that voice instead of resisting it, the first steps toward freedom begin. Freedom doesn't mean anxiety will disappear. It means you'll stop running from it. You'll stop letting it lead your life, choose your relationships, or define your fate. You will become the one observing anxiety, not the one controlled by it. You will understand when it started and why, and you'll finally be able to say, "I see you, but you are not me." And that one simple sentence might be the first moment you truly reclaim yourself. By the end of this journey, you'll come to understand something powerful. That anxiety isn't the end. It's the beginning of deeper awareness, the beginning of an honest conversation with your inner world, the beginning of healing not through erasing the pain, but through embracing it. Because the pain we embrace stops screaming, and the emotions we understand stop hurting us. And only then do we begin to be free. By the end of this journey, how do you cope with anxiety? Share it with us in the comments. You might help someone who's going through the same silent battle. And please don't keep this video to yourself. Share it with a friend, a sibling, someone who just needs to know they're not alone. This channel isn't just about videos. It's about awareness, healing, and returning to who we really are. So if this message spoke to something deep inside you, subscribe and be part of this journey.